Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the masterclass, New Earth Energy Healing. It is my absolute pleasure to have you here with me today if you are able to make it. Otherwise, if you're on the recording, as we know, there is no time and space in the ethers, so you are just as much included in this circle as the people who are present in this now moment, because there really only is this now moment. And so what I thought I would start with is just giving you a little bit of background about myself. For those of you who haven't connected into my world before, I know a few of you here have. And, I was thinking about before I hopped on, what can I possibly share? And, the interesting thing is that the more that I do this work, the less that the doingness and, all of the blah, 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 blah of the past really matters. So what I thought is that I'd just share a little bit of my journey, because I'm sure that many of you, if not all of you, can relate on some level. And, so when I think back, even through my childhood, in varying degrees, I've always been fascinated about the why. I was always, in wonder about the cosmos, about, science, and about, everything that wasn't really typical mainstream. And, as I got older, I dove into all of the books and all of the woo-woo, and I'd be hiding my little crystals around and all of this sort of thing, because of that. I guess a lot of what I see as well now, because I do work with a lot of healers, and we've all been here before. And there has been a lot of persecution that's been woven through our collective for, many generations, millennia, really, in that way. And so it's not uncommon to have feelings of reservation when we start to dive into the realm of spirit. And a lot of it is very related to past persecution. And the beautiful thing about now, in this 2024 moment in reality, is that are changing. And, there's many of us here to bring the light back through for the collective. And, there's such power and potency in this collective unity. And the beauty of having things like, the internet, having us be able to all jump onto a Zoom meeting here rather than hiding in a cave with someone on watch, just to make sure that, we weren't going to get found out, so to speak, in that way. And so, know that if you do feel reservations and hesitations, a lot of the time that's where it's from. And, know that you're not alone. And I'm sure probably everybody here can relate to that, can relate to that on some level. And so I guess I've always also been aware of other presence in my field as well. And of course, with the fear programs, I did spend a lot of time in avoidance. Sometimes when I was troubled, particularly as a teenager, I would be having full-blown conversations, with energies around me that actually helped to console me. But times outside of that, I was in fear. And so it'd be like, oh no, that's a bit weird. That's a bit weird. What will people think? On talking to yourself, all of these old other programs that have been very carefully also woven through our collective, to keep us in that fear paradigm and to keep us stuck in the density, really, of the old world. And, when I talk about old world and new world, I just want to be clear that I'm not referring to something that's bad versus something that's good. It's just different. And this is another important point about being able to stabilize this higher dimensional reality, is that we don't hold anything outside of that in judgment, because judgment is a lower frequency concept. And as soon as we're in judgment, of anything else, we're lowering our frequency back into the dense reality. And, as we all know, and we've experienced all of our lives, is this, and how it kind of feels and appears to me, it's like this milieu of stickiness that's like, it's an energy that's been created from the suffering that gets perpetuated and repeated by the mind. And this has gone on for so many generations that people don't even realize they're doing it. We're born into families where we witness our parents from a very young age not liking that and not liking that and wishing they had that they don't have. And, all the other stories that create more limitation. And what this kind of heaviness and stickiness does is it lowers vibrational frequency. And when we're operating at a lower frequency, it makes it much more difficult for us to be able to connect with and especially stabilize higher frequency thought forms. And I'm sure you can all relate to when it feels when you're in the groove of high frequency, everything's great, we're rock and joy, and how easy it is from that perspective to stay in that joyful state, to find things that we love to do, to find how beautiful that flower is over there, to notice the beautiful trees, the sky, the day, because it's a frequency. And like I touched on before we actually started, is that energy magnetizes itself. And this is what's created this stickiness in the milieu, but it's also what is creating our next layer, a higher dimensional reality that is already here. And I'm sure all of you are popping in and out of that a lot. And more of us are, with this awareness that it's possible to not be continuously in this realm of, negativity in a way, always assuming the worst or thinking that, nothing goes right because nothing ever goes right. Those types of stories that are thick. It's thick in this milieu. And that thickness is holding that lower frequency so that it's difficult for many of these to recognize that there is another layer, that there is another state of awareness or another perception of how we can live out the very same moments in our lives. We can look at it like, oh, what's the problem with it? Or we can look at it as, what's great about it? It's still the same situation. And this is the work. This is the work of the mind, to recognize that there is different ways to perceive the same situation. And it's literally our perception that creates the energy of it. It's not situations. And, that's something that's been really stuck within our old world, is that we're stuck. It's messed up. Problems, the same old stories, roping round and round and round and round and making this blah, 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 blah. And it's literally, that's what it sounds like on a bandwidth. Blah, 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 blah. And so the beauty of where we're at now is that, with the help of the higher realms, with the help of the cosmos, and the help of our beautiful Mother Gaia, that higher and higher frequencies are becoming available to us. But it's because of us as well. It's this beautiful interplay of what's happening, that there's higher frequencies available to the earth. She absorbs it through plasmic. I won't go too much into it now because that's not the topic of this one, but she absorbs it through cosmic plasmic injections, which helps her to hold more light. And as she holds more light, it's easier for us to hold more light. And as we hold more light, it's easier for her to receive more plasma. And so it's really been this gentle and gradual expansion and expansion and expansion that is making it easier and easier for us to, be playing in these higher dimensional realities, or these higher states of perception, which is synonymous, higher states of perception, that is allowing this great change that, that we're here witnessing in the now. And so I wanted to open up the floor. When we think about New Earth, I'm sure you've all heard that term being used. What do you think of? And no, there's no wrong answers. So what do you think of? Are there any words that come to mind, or how does New Earth feel for you? What's there when you bring up the concept of New Earth?
The word that just popped into my mind was hopeful.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. And even it's such a harmonic, that word, isn't it? Like you can feel that word. How does it make you feel?
Well, excited.
Yeah, totally, definitely, doesn't it? And it's like that excitement is riding in the higher perceptual field. And so simple things like even a word shifts an awareness, doesn't it, in that way? That's beautiful. Thank you. What else?
For me, it feels like being that we're in transition.
Yeah.
And transitioning personally and individually, and as a planetary awareness. And that transition is part of the chaos that the world appears to be in at the moment. And sometimes it's hard to experience the chaos and know that it's part of the healing process, but it's kind of what we have to do.
Yeah, definitely, isn't it? And that's where things like hope and faith, and that and trust, isn't it? Coming back to that deeper knowing, which I'm sure you can all connect with as well, that deeper knowing that everything is purposeful in that way. And the beautiful thing, and it's the same as what we're seeing in the macrocosm, so we're seeing in the whole earth, in our own microcosm, is that as we start to stabilize our own higher frequency through doing the inner work, that what happens is other things that aren't a match to that new layer of frequency start to come to the surface. Because energy is as it is, like energy comes into resonance with itself. And so if we're doing the inner work to raise our conscious awareness, to raise our perception, to raise our frequency, things that are within our energy that aren't a match to that anymore need to also come out. And so sometimes we can think, oh no, I must be doing it wrong. Why is all this stuff coming up when I've been so diligently, really trying to make the world a better place? Why is this stuff happening? And it's literally because of that. It's because it's helping us meet and release, what is there that kept us in that old whoa. And the precise reason that happens is so we can start to stabilize more of this. Otherwise, it's always this dance. It's like we're raising consciousness that brings us out to this level, but then we go, whoa, back into the old because of these old faulty programs or these old memories that haven't been resolved, that haven't been allowed to be witnessed in a way outside of the whoa. But we're going to get into that a little bit more as we go along. What else? What else about comes to mind when you think about New Earth, or you feel New Earth? How does that feel for you? Any other words or?
Ascending.
Sorry, I couldn't hear.
Ascending.
Yeah, ascending, isn't it? It's like
Sort of
it literally feels like that.
Yeah, getting out. Like I had this realization recently where I don't know if it was a thought, it just sort of came through me, but it was that real climbing up the top of the tree in the forest and seeing over the density. That was just earlier this year that sort of came to me, and it's just it was like bang, you know, that's how I want to say, looking up and outward rather than in the chaos.
Yes, yes, yes. And I love that analogy. It's like literally, isn't it, that expansive, to see that expanse, to be able to see that bigger picture, isn't it? And that really, what happens at a molecular level is that when frequency raises, so molecules move a little bit more quickly, they go further apart. And so there is a literal expansion as we raise frequency. And so it's exactly as you've connected in with, that as we raise frequency, it is an expansion. And that's why I have a tendency, I prefer to term it expansion rather than ascension. I know ascension's kind of how we relate to it, because it is in fact, in a way, it's an ascension, but it's through expansion. And I think with me personally, ascension kind of tends to have hierarchical connotations. So then it's better and worse. That's why I think I try to avoid using ascension. I use it sometimes because it helps people to be able to understand what I'm talking about, because that's kind of how it's been shared a lot in that way. But it literally, from an energetic perspective, it's an expansion. And, the beautiful thing is that as we expand, we do get to see more and more. We get to see more and more of the greater reality, and it becomes stabilized through frequency. And so we begin to, come out of that dense milieu into, expansion and expansion. And, so this role of us being aware of that, it's so beautiful that it's come to light. It's come to light. We know that, which is why we've all gathered here, because we all know that we have this deep knowing that there is so much more than this, this milieu that, that we've been born into, pretty much in that way. And, as we allow ourselves to release those old stories and the old memories, it actually helps us to get lighter, because the literally density is heavy. Even when you look at it from a science perspective, when you look at density is heavy because the molecules are really compact. Like literally, this is constriction and expansion. So it's not even woo-woo. This is like proper science. Is that when it's density, the molecules are just so packed in tight that it's heavy. And when it's heavy, it's not light. It's the opposite, right? Heaviness and lightness, even from that perspective. I often giggle when I notice the nuances in language as I start to understand the greater reality more and more as well. It's not just lightness as in light and dark, it's also lightness as in light and heavy, with the density. What else do we think of with New Earth? What other sorts of things? You can type in the chat box if you're a little nervous to come on. I always remember, when I was younger, of having this awareness of this distant dream of the heaven on earth world. Who can relate to that? you know, there's this beautiful world where there's like fields of flowers and, you know, and everybody just being joyful and, you know, getting along and yeah, just rainbows and butterflies and, you know, all the things. You know, and it was always this question of, you know, is that going to be possible? And, you know, is it going to be somewhere else? Is it somewhere else? Where is this magical, mystical land that we're all going to be jimmied off to when once we can kind of, you know, get a grasp of unity consciousness or being able to get along? And, you know, the beautiful thing that, you know, that's come into my awareness is that as we expand, it already exists within. Because even if you think of when things are constricted, we just can't see it. It's already here. All of that's already here, but we just can't see it because we're constricted. And so as we do allow ourselves to expand and ascend and hold a higher frequency, we start to see the love, we start to see the light, we start to see the joy much more easily. And it's literally what continues to happen. And so by, you know, doing things that help us to be able to stabilize this joy without having to fall back into the old, the more we're able to stabilize that, the more it becomes a reality in this now moment. It already is a reality, but at the moment, it's awareness is doing this. And so the work that we're here to do, that we're called to do here, coming as the light workers, which is I'm sure why you're all here as well. You know, I couldn't imagine, you know, build logs from across the road that, you know, or whatever, without being judgmental. I couldn't imagine, you know, them turning up. Oh yes, that would be very interesting to come to some weird lady talking about stuff that's just clearly woo-woo. In that way. And so, you know, I know that you all get what I'm talking about here. And so, you know, we're called back here at this time because we've already all know it. We know it, we've lived it, numerous times over to be able to help to stabilize this. Because we're already so sure of it within that we've come back to do this for everybody who may not be so sure. And the beautiful thing as well is that because we're a collective, that we are a unified frequency as well, that the more of us that come to the party to stabilize this new earth or this higher frequency reality or perception or whichever way you want to look at it, the more that becomes present as well as the wall, 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 wall. So there's like this wall, 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 and then there's this going on as well at the same time. And so, you know, those who are unsure are going to hear both as well, or feel both, or be aware of both, whichever way they perceive energy and frequency. And so when we think about raising our frequency, what are some ways we can raise our frequency? There's loads. What's some ways that you bring into your life to help you to, you know, feel better or to, you know, spread the love?
Well, I love being out in nature.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like love being by the water, love being in the, you know, in the green, anywhere where the air feels green. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's so beautiful, isn't it? Because nature's already attuned.
Mm.
Nature's already attuned to where we're going, isn't it? And so literally back to what we've been talking about is that energy magnetizes itself because it comes into resonance with itself. And so that's why when we're out in nature, we start to come into resonance with that same frequency. And it's the same with our collective too. What's happening with that? It's like where we revolve, you know, not that there's anything wrong with other ways of being, and that's important to help to stabilize a higher frequency awareness, to stabilize that is not to be in judgment of this, because judgment is a lower frequency construct. And, you know, just to be able to be okay with what is really hard sometimes. And this is the work that we're doing, but we've come here to do because we can. And that's the beauty of it as well. You know, sometimes we might fall into doubt because it can be hard sometimes, you know, the ups and downs, but let's face it, this isn't pretty. Staying in that comfort of whoa, 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 like that's like, yeah, that's a big time internal struggle, even more so in that way. And so, you know, your beautiful nature, yes, definitely. What else can we do?
I love hanging out with my angels.
Yes, beautiful angels.
Beautiful angels.
Yeah.
And then when I am falling down into the whoa, 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 then I can remember, you know, and then I can go and have an angel party, which feels great.
Yeah, definitely.
Nothing woo-woo about me.
Or any of it. Yeah, totally. And, you know, so really allowing ourselves to access our higher guides, because we all have them. We all have higher guides as well. And, you know, there's an attunement that happens, and the attunement happens as we become a frequency match to our higher guides, which is why, and I remember distinctly for so many years, because I was always in and out, and, you know, wasn't sure about stabilizing. I wasn't really sure about any of this really, except from this knowing that I was walking, that, you know, this moving in and out, and in and out, that, you know, at times it'd be like, oh, I get a message. I'm sure you can all relate to this, right? It's like, oh, I'll get a message and it'll be like, oh, and I'll like, you'll feel it and you'll know, and that's that connection with the higher realms. And then it's like next minute is like another time you're really, really trying and your head's just going, gob, gob, whoa, 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 whoa. And, you know, something that's really been pivotal in shifting my connection, my capacity to be able to, you know, hold that with the work that I do, has been working on frequency. And it's something we can all do. It's not some elusive, you know, thing that exists outside of us. It already is us. But we've just been stuck in this collective patterns of misery, that we're just not a match to attune to it. It's there, but we're just kind of on a different bandwidth almost. Yes.
Okay, give me an example of when you say you work with your frequency.
Yeah. That's the question. How can we raise frequency? How do you guys do it? What makes you feel better? So we had one was the nature. Good angels, yes, connecting with our higher guidance team, because definitely. What else? What other sorts of things can we do? Wait, we did have a comment here.
Sorry, we're going to interrupt again. Playing with my puppy.
Yes.
He's doing that now, but it's so joyful because they are just love coming at you.
Yeah, definitely. Our beautiful animals, our animal guardians, our beautiful pets. Yes, definitely. You know, when we're in the moment with them, we're connecting with their loving energy. And so, you know, it's much easier for us to come into resonance with that as well. So we've got biking, dancing, yes, anything that we love. Like literally, it's not prescriptive. It's not like this is the way to do it. It's like however it is for you that can help you to access the joy, to access higher frequencies, feelings, which then bring that expansion, which then bring that capacity for the greater awareness, that capacity to be open enough to receive our higher guidance in that way. So yeah, to be in joy, time in nature. I'm just reading some of the comments. Meditation, yes, meditation. The beauty of meditation is that it stops the wah, 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 wah that goes in the head that shoves us back in the whoa, 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 in that way. And, that being able to be aware, that's why mindfulness is so powerful. That mindfulness about being aware of the mind. I used to, in my earlier days, teach yoga and meditation. I still teach it in a way, but in a different version now. But, teaching meditation, mindfulness meditation specifically from the Buddhist tradition, people would say, I can't meditate, my mind's too busy. And it's like, well, precisely why? And, it's not like phase 2 of meditation is actually being able to sit in the stillness. That's hard. That takes a lot of practice to be able to sit in the stillness. Like step 1 of mindfulness meditation is to recognize what the mind's doing. That's liberation. That's step 1, liberation, is recognizing when your mind's telling you stories, when your mind's pulling threads out of this collective whoa, 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 whoa. And the mind just does that. And, the amount of people when I first, introduced them to mindfulness and meditation that just go, oh my goodness, I can't believe how the stuff my mind tells me. And like, this is all of this unawareness that we're never taught, never taught in the more modern world. Beautifully, we still have some of the traditional lineage stuff that, still teaches this, like Buddhism and the Vedic traditions, and probably many more as well. Shamanic traditions around the world, temple mystics, people who have been really embedded in this information that have continued to bring through, the capacity to be and live differently to this whoa, 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 that we've become into here as well. So, recognizing where the mind's at is the first step, for that. And then from there, once we can start to be the observer, this is the old mindfulness traditions, once we can be the observer of the mind, then we can more easily go, oi, stop, that's not true. That's sovereign choice. That's regaining freedom and liberation from the crazies, from our own minds. And what I love about, in Buddhism, they speak to the 3 causes of suffering, which is desire, being fixated on everything that we want that we don't have, aversion, being fixated on everything that we don't want, that we don't like, that's there all the time, and then what they call delusion, which kind of makes me giggle. And the delusion is all the blah, 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 the what ifs that we play out in the mind, the what ifs that, aren't even true. And they've labeled it the illusion or delusion, in that way. And they speak to that as the 3 causes of all suffering, the root of all suffering, which is that power of coming back to be in the moment. Being in this present moment, there's none of that exists in the now. It's like it just is now. And, with a lot of practice, and it took me years to be able to even sit still. I started doing yoga and I was trying to meditate, and I'd be on my couch and I was so busy and a workaholic and, caught up in all of the projects, being an academic and overthinking all the time, that like I'd sit down to meditate and I'd be off the other side of the room before I'd realized that I had even got up to do something else. Just living in my head constantly. So I get it. I get it. But it was just, through, the yogic practice, the breath, coming back to sit still. And it took me a really long time. It took me like probably the better part of 9 months to even sit still for 5 minutes, let alone be able to, to be able to still my mind enough to be able to hold the spaciousness. And that's been a practice of years. And it's bliss. You just hold that space and it's like, And in that space, everything expands because we're not stress that causes constriction. The stress causes constriction. The overdoing causes constriction. Anything that makes us not feel okay causes constriction, literally in our nervous system, through our nervous system. You can feel it in your body. And this affects our frequency. It affects our capacity to be able to access all of this other beautiful stuff, that's there as well, because we get stuck. We get stuck in the whoa, 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 whoa. Love that. Whoa, 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 whoa. I haven't spoken to it like that before, but it's like literally when I'm feeling into it, like that's what it sounds like as well. This milieu that like lives at the bottom of the pond, so to speak, but not the bottom. It's just is because it is. And we love it for what it is and for the gifts that it has for us. Literally, though, this is changing the program, and I want to get onto that as well. And so last year, I sat with the guides and we wrote an e-guide. So it was really harnessing some of the main keys. So you may or may not have read it yet. It is on my website. You can go to my website. It's on the homepage of my website. It's a free download. It's called New Earth Energy Healing. And so there's 3 key steps that they brought through. And the intention of it is to share with people what else is possible now. Energy medicine has been around for a really long time. There's so many beautiful ways we can harmonize energy, like literally a plethora of beautiful ways that we can harmonize energy. But what's possible for us now is that we can break the cycles. When our energy becomes distorted, I call it energy distortion, or disharmonious or imbalanced in some way, it's surrounding something that isn't in alignment with our divinity. Because our true nature, our divinity is harmony. And when things aren't in alignment with that, thought forms, emotions, feelings that may have come through family lines, that may have come through our own experiences, that may have come through our experiences in different timelines. A lot of this stuff is in our subconscious, and so we're not even aware of it. It's sitting below our conscious awareness because it's remained unprocessed. And while it's unprocessed, it's too painful to just be, running around constantly with us as well. And so there's a reason it's been shoved in the subconscious. But the problem with it being in the subconscious is it's in our energy, and it's making our energy distorted in comparison to our divinity, to the truth of who we really are. And these distortions distort our perception of our everyday life. And this is all happening without us even knowing it. And so when we do all the beautiful things to harmonize the distortion in our energy, we can feel really beautiful and amazing. But what happens is the energy goes out of balance again. It becomes distorted again because that old faulty unresolved thing is still hanging out in there. And so that was the intention of this guide, is to help to bring that awareness and also share ways that we can easily, without re-traumatizing, open our energy, touch the thorn, change the thorn. So change the perception of the thorn through higher light so that it doesn't exist anymore. It's not just about throwing it out because it still exists. It's still that energetic thought form wherever it goes that can easily come back again because it's still got the hole, because it hasn't been resolved. And so there's this beautiful invitation to allow the self to re-witness through the eyes of love to recognize the gift in everything, the gift in walking through, you know, whatever it is. And I know that can be really, really, really hard to allow, but it's possible. And it's a key to stop the repeating cycles, because as long as we continue to hold on to the injustice, all of those whoa feelings, that keeps us attached to that still. And so it's not about making terrible atrocities right. It's not about that at all, but it's about the forgiveness, higher frequency forgiveness, which is taking the thorn out of yourself and allowing an awareness that things are as they are for reasons well beyond our human conscious awareness in physical, what we're able to fathom. You know, we slow down our frequency so much when we come into physical form that we forget. We forget the greater reality. We forget that we're divinity. We forget the bigger picture. And so from our human form, it's really coming back to trust and faith and allowing yourself to be free. It's not about freeing anybody else from anything they've done. It's about freeing yourself from holding on to that old energy in that way and welcoming the gifting of that. And, you know, as you're able to allow yourself to untangle that program and let it be, that's the gift. That's the gift. It's no longer continuing to pull you back into that same program. And, you know, something that also helps to be able to move through that is an awareness that when we come into any incarnation, our soul desires to experience certain things. And so we are coded on our template with that energy so that we magnetize those experiences. And so if our soul desired to remember unconditional love, we're not going to be put in relationships where people love us because we're satisfied getting the love from the outside. And so if our soul desired, this is a higher perceptual reality, is that if our soul desires to know unconditional self-love, that we get put in experiences where people can't love us, not won't or don't, can't. This is another layer, can't love us because of whatever's playing out in their energy and their experience. They can't. So it's not even their fault. They just can't. And because they can't, we then have to come back to that. We don't have to, but that's the evolution. The reason we have these experiences that we've learned to judge as negative is for our benefit. It's for our evolution. And when we're able to then finally walk through that, to evolve through that realization, the pattern isn't the same anymore. The pattern isn't the same. And so that self-love moves out of something that's just an awareness that one tries to tell oneself is of benefit into really that remembering of that we are already that. We are already this love. We are already, you know, this divinity, you know, in that way. And the only thing that keeps us from knowing that, well, we all know it, but the only thing that keeps us from really allowing ourselves to embody that is the whoa, is that person was mean to me, this person treated me like rubbish, these people persecuted me in past timelines, you know, that person did this happened, da 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 da. all within this this context of a physical reality. And so I'll just give you a brief of the 3 steps. I invite you to download that e-guide because it does go into more detail about these 3 steps. The way that it's written, it's not something that's written for you to read from start to finish and to, understand it. You're more than welcome to do that, but it's more useful, and this is how the guides wanted me to share it with others as well, is if you just take a bit at a time and really sit with it and allow it to embody beyond the intelligence. Like you might read a paragraph and then sit with that for the day and just allow it to weave within your own conscious awareness so that it can expand into your awareness beyond just the thought, because that's where things start to shift and stabilize more, is when it is embodied, when it, becomes a part of our conscious awareness. So the 3 steps, the first is relaxing the nervous system. Step 1, relaxing the nervous system. Does anyone want to have a guess why, or does anyone know why? Why do you think relaxing the nervous system is so important?
To be able to allow yourself to heal.
Yeah, yes. To allow the energy to go, relax. You can literally feel it. It's like, and the energy opens and we already have access to greater awareness when we're relaxed. Even physiologically, I wrote a paper a few years ago on the central nervous system, polyvagal theory, and it talks about how when we're in a stress response, that we get a disconnection to our prefrontal cortex. So we get a disconnection to our higher order thinking. So when we're stressed, we're actually not capable of problem solving. We're not capable of recognizing consequences for action. These are all frontal cortex functions. We're not capable of socialization behavior. And interestingly, I was doing this research in 2020. And it was like, as I'm reading this, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is like what's happening with the whole entire world right now, is that no one's thinking clearly because they actually physically can't think clearly. When you're in a stress response, you cannot think clearly. It's physiology. It's not pathology. There's not something wrong with everybody. It's like they're stressed. They're stressed, like literally. It's fascinating area. Anyway, if you want that paper, send me an email or shoot me a message and I'll send you that paper. It's really fascinating. And I was looking at different breath practices, how breath can modulate the nervous system. So there's a lot of that research in there as well, through all the old yogic traditions, just different patterns of, lengthening out the breath and, creating a relaxed state to be able to harmonize all of the body systems, like everything is connected to the nervous system as well. So that's the first one, opening energy, relaxing the nervous system. The second one is creating a safe environment to access the faulty programs, the thorns. I call them faulty programs, the things that are creating distortion. And I am going to share a practice with you shortly as well. And then the third part is re-encoding. It's repatterning our energy back into harmony. And so when we do the deeper energy work, we can shift a lot of energy in the moment. We can get out the thorns. We can clear the original programs. But because we have habitual behavior, repeating patterns in the head, we can start to recreate distortion again if we leave a session and do absolutely nothing, go back into our bad relationships, have the same problems with the people at work, blah, 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 blah. And so the third step of integration work is taking that self-responsibility, and every day 5 minutes. That's all it takes. Energy shifts quickly. 5 minutes a day to continue to remember the higher frequency programs, or remembering the higher frequency potentials that are there as well. And, you know, that can look like anything depending on, you know, whatever you've been working on, particularly. I do go into it a lot more in that e-guide as well. But, you know, 5 minutes a day. I say it all the time to people, 5 minutes a day will change your life. You know, plug out of the whatever's going on in here and plug into nature, or plug into the beautiful joy of the heart frequency, or, you know, do this beautiful practice I'm going to share with you in a moment. Does anyone have any questions? Just in the interest of time, I could go on all day about all sorts of different things. But I will leave it at that for today. Does anyone have any questions? So I do have a couple of foundational programs. There's one that's a aligned energetic awareness, which is 4 modules. It is self-paced, but they're released once a week, so for over a month. And there's a lot of different teachings about energy, how energy works, some different practices as well to help you embody those. And then there's another, the next one, the next energy fundamentals program is intuitive ascension. And that really dives into more of the greater reality and how we can use different parts of intuition, how they work, other ways we can access. And so that's another 4-module program there as well. You know, I know a lot of my work is directed at practitioners, but, you know, even if you're not a practitioner, those fundamental programs will really help you to be able to understand and bring into your life more about what we've been talking about as well. Yeah, and I've got a bonus as well for everyone who attends that, but I'll talk about that after. So we're going to do the practice, and then I'll share this practice with you, and then, you know, if you're welcome to go, if you have to go or whatever, because we are at the time mark as well. And yeah, and then I'll share more about the beautiful practitioner program, and yeah, and the special bonuses that we have for everyone here, or if you're on the playback as well. So was there any questions? It's probably a lot. There's been a lot. I do recommend going back and, you know, re-listening again as well, because there'll be more parts of that that'll land, you know, once, because you've received quite a lot of coding in different layers there. So even when you do, if you do go back and listen to it, you'll find that it'll connect up more of the dots because you've received more of the codes, you know, to by the end of it. So if you want to get comfortable, and if you're safe to do so, closing down your eyes and just taking a moment to turn inwards, you know, connect in with your breath. And as you turn inwards and feel your breath, and that simple connection takes the energy out of the mind. And it's fascinating that while we are truly feeling the breath, we can't be thinking about a million things at the same time. And so as you breathe and fall into that rhythm, I invite you to take your awareness into your heart space, the center of your universe. And without trying to change anything, just feeling into if there's anything that's not in alignment there for you at this time, just being open And if anything arises, try to receive it without judgment, remembering that judgment will close the energy again. And as whatever is there, trusting that whatever you don't need anymore is going to come forward. And then taking a moment just to honor it and thank it for being there. And then taking it and placing it in a green ball outside of you. So imagining a beautiful luminous green ball, however it comes into your awareness, and just placing that with love into the green ball. Knowing that it's nobody's fault, it's not your fault, it's not anyone else's fault, it's simply part of collective programming. And as you pop that into the green ball, I invite you now to come back to your beautiful heart space. And as you bring your awareness back to your breath, and imagining you're breathing through your heart space. You might imagine you're breathing in through the front and out through the back, and breathing back in through the back and out through the front. And as you continue to move that energy through there, I invite you now to bring to mind something that helps you to feel gratitude or joy, anything that you feel appreciation for at this time. Might be something as simple as your favorite cup of tea. Might be the smile of a friend, a beautiful sunset. Anything that helps you to be able to access that feeling of gratitude. And now breathing that through your heart space. It's breathing that feeling of gratitude. Really giving yourself permission to feel that. And gratitude is a very high frequency. And so as you allow yourself to feel that and breathe that through your heart space, it is also the harmonic of the heart, a harmonic of the balance of all of our energy centers. And so really breathing that gratitude now and feeling it as strongly as you can. You might feel it radiating out. You might even be able to let go of the thing and just keep the feeling, not for any other reason than it's possible. In fact, it's the frequency of you, the heart. That beautiful joy, appreciation, all of those feelings that bring us into alignment with our higher self. And we're just going to continue to breathe that gratitude for one more minute. You might notice how that feels as you allow yourself. Sometimes it can take practice if you've never connected with your heart energy before, and that's okay. It's like everything, it's practice. And over time, it's just easy as you remember to drop back into that. Harmonize your beautiful heart and feel its radiance. And as you continue to breathe into that, just taking a moment to feel it again as strongly as you can, really harmonizing anything in your energy that isn't in alignment with that. Breathing it as deeply as you can as well. Those deep breaths, if you can connect with the diaphragm, that muscle underneath the lungs. And as the lungs come into their fullness, it opens the energy field, relaxes the nervous system, and allows your beautiful essence to be even more present. As you take a few more breaths here, it's really bathing in this beautiful high frequencies. Now I invite you to revisit the green ball, not bringing it back in, but just opening up that green ball and noticing that thing you put in there. Maybe it's not even there anymore. Or maybe it's shifted. Maybe you're able to see it in a new light. Coming back to your beautiful heart frequency. And holding that for some more breaths. And seeing that green ball now become all sparkly and shiny as we invite the diamond crystal frequencies to reharmonize its energy back into alignment with source, back into alignment with the higher realms. And as that green ball starts to expand back into light, it's taking another moment to anchor into your beautiful heart, that beautiful heart energy. And then just taking another moment to notice how you're feeling. And then as you're ready, you can start to become aware of yourself back in your seat. You're making any movements in your body that feels right for you. Move that energy through. And then only when you're ready, you can bring yourself back into the moment. Ah. Now, what I love about that practice is its simplicity. And what you can do is if you're in a really heavy time, you can just stay in the heart frequency longer. Sometimes it takes a bit longer to harmonize whatever's happening to help to, move it through your energy and to hold that higher frequency. And, it really helps from that higher frequency then to re-witness what it was before. And that's changing the program. When we see it through the eyes of love, when we see it through that higher light, it no longer exists because it's changed through our perception. Yay. And that beautiful practice, it's something that, we can do every day. Like relax first, do the beautiful relaxing into the earth, the breaths, calming, and then the introspection to see what truly is there, being honest with ourselves from the place of love, popping it into the green ball with love, coming back to the love that we are, really embodying the love that we already are. That's what I love so much about this work, is that it's not something we need to seek, because it already is. It already is who we are. And then when we remember that and feel that, we can re-witness. We can re-witness what we pulled out of that and see it through those eyes of love. Thank you too, darling. Yeah, if anybody needs to go, so beautiful to see you. See you all. Ah, yay. All right. So I did want to share about the beautiful practitioner immersion that's come into creation as a co-creation with me and my guides. It really is. So I've been working willingly with my guides for for quite a lot of years. And a few years ago, the guide said to me, they said, and now you can teach this to others. And I'm like, what do you mean me? What do you mean me? And they're like, well, of course, who else? We've been training you for that long. And also, interestingly, I've been a clinical teacher. And I've got a grad cert in curriculum design and all the things that I developed through my academic and university career. And I still teach at university, but only one subject now that I love. And so it was kind of, so I walked through that resistance, and we've produced this beautiful practitioner immersion. It's in its third group is going through at the moment, and I have a new group starting in October. It's a 6-month immersion. And what I really love about it, and what I feel sets it apart from a lot of other offerings, is firstly, it's completely different because it's really revolved around a lot of the stuff that I've been sharing. There's a lot of unique processes that I'm sharing through the different energy centers, how we can, harmonize the different energy centers. But the main idea with it is not that you copy what I'm teaching you, it's that you deepen into the awareness and the frequency of the harmonics that I'm teaching, so that you can connect with your guides, trust your guides, so that you're the open conduit to be able to bring through in a unique way that's most appropriate for your client. And that's another thing I love about this work, because people say, oh, what modality? And it's like, every single client that I've ever seen, it's always been different. And this is the allowing. Sometimes things are very similar because there's similar processes that are going to work really well for the person, but there's always unique nuances, and that comes through the trust. And so during the 6 months, there's also one-on-one mentoring with me. So we have sessions with me and my guides to help you to clear old faulty programs, to really get to the stuff that, is deep in the subconscious. And, to help you to be able to really come back to the truth of who you are, tap into your unique gifts, and allow that to be expressed and shared with the world, so that you can do what you came here to do. And there's also a lot of practice. We do a lot of practice. And like I was saying to some of the students the other day, is the only difference between me and them is that I've done it 1,000 times. And, in that time, it's like, the more we witness ourselves doing it, the more we recognize what's possible, the more we trust, and then the more that becomes possible. And it really is that dance and the interplay. And I mean, at least that's been my experience, is it's really been that through practice and practice and practice and allowance, the trust and the surety and the what's possible, you know, continues to expand. And then also in your unique way, because we all have a unique signature, which is here to support the people who are drawn to that unique signature. So there's not even the competition. That's all old world story. It's like there are people that will resonate with your frequency and different people that will resonate with somebody else's frequency, you know, in that way. And so for you to step into your uniqueness is what the magnetic. And so over the 6 months, there's 12 modules. They go for 2 weeks. You receive the module at the beginning of the fortnight. At the end of the fortnight, we meet in a live group for 4 hours. It's a Saturday morning Brisbane time, so wherever that is translated for you. And during that time, we deepen into the teaching. So I don't go back and reteach the stuff. You watch the videos during the week, you do the workbooks, you do the practices, so that when we come together, we really share and all deepen into the experience, and then also do practices. And so we start with the very basics about just guiding each other through meditations. So the way that a session looks like, just from the structure that this is taught through, you're welcome to do whatever you like with it afterwards. That if, say, a session's about an hour, the first 15 minutes, we're just connecting with the client, helping them to relax, supporting them to access what's actually happening for them, what their intention is for the session. And then for about half an hour is the process. It's the meditative process that we take them through, the intuitive guidance, to help them to do all the things we were just doing then, to relax and then access whatever it is, and then re-encode as well for them with the light, the different light work that will come through for you in different ways. And then at the end, having a debrief with them. So inviting them to share what happened. You might have stuff come into your awareness to remind them of what happened. I always record sessions as well. So I encourage the students to do that too and give that to people, because there's a lot of little nuanced things, especially when you're allowing yourself to be guided. There's a lot of little nuances that are particular for that person that'll be unique key codes for that person as well. So it's always good for people to go back and listen, re-listen to it again, to let it land at deeper and deeper levels. And then sharing some integration work with them as well. So the homework, they're 5 minutes of what's going to help them if they do that 5 minutes every day, you know, moving forward, to help them to re-encode their energy into the higher frequencies, to establish the higher frequencies as the new patterns, the new habitual patterns that are there. And so, yes, I'm really excited about, you know, each evolution of it as well. We have beautiful Belinda here. She's with the current group. Thank you for Belinda for coming along. Yeah, would you like to share your experience?
Yeah, thank you for asking me here, Dr. Nikki. Yeah, I'm in the current group that's studying at the moment. The course is extraordinary. I've studied in a few modalities, but in my client work, I've found that a lot of the work is tailored to the individual, but this just takes it to a new level. And I love all your explanation around the fact that we're relearning things that we actually inherently know. So there's a bit of aha moments and coming to just a deep awareness of just how transformative this work is. But it's such a beautiful, gentle approach. And I found that in the client work that I did, I have no hesitation in moving into this work within the work. And yeah, it's just quite extraordinary with the shifts that I'm witnessing and how timely they are. It's a gentle process, but it's just quite amazing to witness that. So people aren't stuck in that therapy wheel and sort of getting nowhere. And it's tailored to the individual just so uniquely. I'd have to agree, Nikki, that part of the process is trusting what is dropping in your awareness, and that's part of the growth within the course. But often find that when you have an inherent sense that you're of this world but not quite of this world, that you've had a lifetime thinking, far out, where do I fit in here because I'm seeing things so differently. There's a sense of coming home when you're meeting with like-minded, like-hearted souls. And I'm just always in awe of Dr. Nikki's awareness and her wisdom and her knowledge. I've sat within the learning space over the years with Dr. Nikki. This is just absolutely phenomenal, extraordinary work. And I'm just so grateful for the fact that she's birthing this and creating a learning space so that we can all share in the knowledge of that. So yeah, it's just been lovely to be here with you this morning and yeah, just to be sharing that. But yeah, just if you're called to the work, yeah, just jump in. And yeah, it's a beautiful course. I'm sure you'll love every minute of it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Belinda. And, I always feel so honored of the beautiful souls that come to do this work as well. Like every group so far, I've been like, oh my goodness, they're all just so wonderful. And then the next group, oh my goodness, everyone's so wonderful. And, it's turning out like that again. Yeah. And, it's back to what we've been talking about. It's about resonance, isn't it? It's like, to be at this, to hold this frequency and to have this awareness of that's who we already are. And it's like that calling and that deep knowing that it's drawing people of likeness. And so there's small groups, there's 8, so I only take 8 at a time because it is an immersion, so it is a held container to really ensure that you do get the outcomes that you desire, because that's what we're here for, to really make a difference now, to stop these repeating patterns, to really help people to shift and stabilize this new earth that's already here for us, which is super exciting. Yeah, so the bonuses, what I'm offering is that if you are interested in doing any of the energy fundamentals that I mentioned before, the 2-month-long programs, if you register for both of those, I'll include a free session with me and the guides, and a session includes a follow-up, so that's valued at $555. So that's a good package if you're interested in diving a little bit more into the work. If you're interested in let's chat if we haven't chatted about the practitioner program, because it's really important that that you are a fit for the program, you're ready for it, and we're all in alignment. I'm offering the 2 energy fundamentals programs as bonuses, so you can already get started with the work, and also a session with me, and the guides as well. That it can be quite lengthy, but they're really powerful and potent. And then we always have a follow-up as well, just to check, make sure all the integration's happening well. And that's just such a beautiful way to to step into what else is possible for you as well. Is there any questions? Yay. Thank you too, dear heart. So beautiful. Wow. for those of you on the recording, for those beautiful souls that are here with me as well. It has been an absolute pleasure to hang out with you. If you have any questions about anything, as always, just reach out. I'm always happy to share anything that can possibly support you, along the way. So I'll send you an email with a link with this recording, and also a link if you're interested in checking out any of the further study options that are available as well. All right, beautiful ones. Hope you have the most amazing weekend ahead. Bye.